there goes the remainder of my brain cells. Well, that's the last time I'm gonna be doing that. I don't know about you guys, but who does it better, me or him?
Sunshine, clean air. I hate it.
Disclaimer. Commentary is meant for entertainment and educational purposes. I provide my opinions along with facts and will disclose such. I will try to bring as much accuracy and verification as much as I can, but I still strongly urge you to do your own research. I do not condone contacting or harassing anyone. Anything a person does is out of their own accord and they do not speak for me. All offended feelings are also your own. There is strong language used. Footage used in this video and gameplay follow under fair use. I do not own any trademarks from these companies. Gameplay footage is my own playstyle. False copyright strikes and claims will be countered. Thanks. This is the final video of the two-parter. The first part is in the description box. I recommend watching that one first if you haven't already. That way there won't be any context missing. Part 1 discussed how unicunts plagued the Justice for Vaughn movement, history of talking in circles and babble, slandering and making up lies, and him financially exploiting this sensitive movement. Part 2 will discuss potential mass flagging, past incidents of doxing, not just the Creepshow ones, in his doxing claims against other YouTubers, the racism and hypocrisy of both Uni and KJ, so-called vet bashing, and then my conclusion, thoughts, and face cam in the end. Enjoy and let me know what you think. He lied about KJ not doxing anyone but Creepshow and his server. This is a total lie based on my findings in so many words. There has been doxing in his server before, something former mods and viewers have alerted him to, but he has ignored them, and interestingly, this was happening when Katie was still in there. Uni claimed that he hasn't done anything of the sort and that Creepshow was basically an isolated incident. Though many of these former viewers and mods say otherwise, they would know because they were trying to speak out against Katie or were banned by her. And then there's some screenshots on the screen if you want to take a look. One example, even his own admin Unirage, or his girlfriend, cousin, whatever the fuck, acknowledged someone breaking the rules but did jack shit. Uni goes as far as to accuse this Britney woman a demi-spy in that his justification for her private info being leaked. Yeah. He doesn't have proof of this. This, top secret, super top secret spy bullshit. Well, this is no surprise. But even if that was the case, there are other ways to handle this than letting KJ leak this woman's real name. In his server, no less. Why wasn't a simple boot enough? Didn't he state in his own video he doesn't even allow public names or anything identifying to be allowed in his server? How about we see or hear for ourselves?
But I will not tolerate private data being shared inside my Discord server for any reason, even if it's linked to a story or anything else. I will not tolerate people looking for private data. Like, if you even look for someone's private data and you're in my server, I'm kicking you out. Fact knows how to moderate. Took the fastest, quickest moderation steps as humanly possible, but I'm putting it out here right now. And knows the rules of my server. We don't share that shit, even if it's not a doc.
Okay. So, why are we seeing justification for doxing this Britney woman, having her real name, which she chose to keep private? This is straight up doxing because there's malicious intent. And it's the justification is written by you, Unirock. Yeah, sure, KJ was the one who pulled up the docs, but then you justified it. That's malicious intent. You know what? I would not be surprised if he kept Creepshow's docs in there had no one actually noticed. Had it not for his mods, it would have never been known and he'd still be buddying up with KJ, letting her continue wreak havoc in his own server. Something else to note that his times were also off, or there were gaps on when he brought up the situation in public. He not only waited very long for the situation to clear up and have a very late meeting with his admins or mods or whatever, he never actually contacted Creepshow first. I would usually think that that's the first thing you do to someone or for someone when their info gets leaked. I would not be running to YouTube first, which he did, and stream over an hour, then make a few pre-recorded videos talking in circles and repeating the same fluff in a 40-minute monetized video. Creepshow had to ask his mods actually several times to send her screenshots of the docs, what was there. It wasn't him that sent shit. It didn't cross his mind at all. He didn't do the bare minimum of how to handle this. He did as little as possible, more than anything. All he cared about was conveying the info from his channel because he knew he was going to get heat for this because this was a 450k creator at the time. That also brings me to the possibility of false flagging. I do not have direct concrete proof of this, so if you want to take this with a grain of salt, I'm just like basing my theories and speculation and opinion based on what I just saw in the lies that came out. My thing is this: if you can lie about the small things, as we just saw, well, that wasn't really small, but it was very telling, very clear, very easily debunked. He must be like hiding pretty big shit. God knows that there's other stuff that went on. This is just stuff that we knew about. Just stuff we knew about. I did reach out to True Sleuth for a statement and viewed her video several times to see if there was anything in a video regarding SM's lawsuit against KJ. Anything that could trigger YouTube to demonetize it. And nothing of the sort was there. It was just reading court papers and then offering her opinion for a lawsuit that Unicuck was basically hated. It is interesting timing though, and I personally wouldn't put it past him since his cronies are trigger happy. They also caused an uproar and harassed her over it. They still do whenever she asks for proof in the most civil way possible. Uni even going as far as to accusing True Sleuth of lying on her, which doesn't make any sense. And it is funny because he accuses her of not being able to read a book. Meanwhile, we just saw earlier in the video that he can't even view a 45-minute video and only watch the first 3 minutes. Yeah, I think there's someone who didn't pick up a book for like 30 years. To my understanding, if a video is demonetized, it will be suppressed in the algorithm. Something that Unibitch would love to happen because it's SM after all. Uni was also having a meltdown when it was happening on Twitter where the lawsuit was filed with Pocket Service. And as you just saw, he has a history of letting a doxer in his community and trying to be very hush-hush about it. Until he gets outed by the mods who have like some sort of moral fiber in them that are now, of course, no longer on his channel, which I can commend them for because fuck that. And now there's actually a public video of Unirock instructing his followers, or basically saying wink wink, flag Molly go lightly. How about we check this clip out, and I guess I can let you guys determine if this is kind of mass flagging. I personally think it is, but let's roll it.
Well, whatever platform she's on, you go there and you file a report. It'll be under either support on that site, or it'll be under, there are ways to do it. You just have to look. You got to type in, how do I report to YouTube, and then space Reddit, and it'll bring up a Reddit post that'll give you every step. How do I report to Patreon? Reddit. If you type the word Reddit after you type instructions for something, there will be a Reddit post where somebody gives you instructions on how to do it. Okay. Now, again, you could probably search YouTube for instructions too. So if you're having trouble doing anything, find a video that shows you step by step how to do it. I've already made you guys that promise. I'm not going to take her down. I'm not going to.
Another to know, LB also alleged her channel a few years ago was being false flagged, and it was actually taken down by KJ and her minions, one of those minions being Unicuck. He was actually simping so hard though he still does, back then. After all, the poor woman was grieving the loss of her nephew at the time, and that certainly didn't stop him defaming the shit out of her, whoring out for KJ when she was off YouTube to grieve. But come on, guys. In fairness to both KJ or Uni, or in their defense, they don't really know better. They don't really have a nurturing, familial bone in their body. You can't hold that against them, right? And now fast forward, there's now a video of him encouraging his viewers to mass report for Molly Golightly supposedly doxing some Patreon member. I don't think he realizes encouraging or implying reporting another platform is a violation no matter what another YouTuber allegedly does. Especially if you're guiding or instructing viewers on how to report right after you make those serious allegations, true or not. Isn't this something the commentary community frown on universally? Now, to really debunk this whole false flagging that I personally believe that he does, based on his past actions and what he lied about when it came to docs, the only way to know for sure is if he showed his flag history, which I would say is comedic because, he won't provide it despite me relying on circumstantial information over concrete proof. I would still like to be proven wrong. An innocent person would show it, even though I will say they don't have to. Still, I wouldn't be surprised if, again, he falsely reported shit, because people who false flag would not show that, since he also just admitted to flagging Molly Golightly for supposedly doxing him, which didn't happen because he couldn't prove it. And he made so many conflicting statements that it just made my head spin. I'm sure he'll cry about anyone demanding that information, calling us entitled to that report history, and how the burden of proof is on me or others. Okay. Yeah, but it still doesn't work that way. You accuse people of being scammers, frauds, sexual harassers. The burden of proof is always on you. If we went by that logic, we would have an influx of people being thrown in jail or prison and not proven negative. The whole justice system would fall apart. Wasn't this the same way he called a grieving mother and 3 YouTubers who are defending her, calling them scammers and frauds and demanding they show financial records or receipts of what they paid for with people's donations? He should have no problem then showing his flag history, but I digress.
Little spies. Whoever Molly is sending pictures of houses around to is not our home. She doesn't have to believe me. She probably thinks I'm lying.
A few moments later.
Record it without watching it and looking at the timestamps people are giving me, because I have to know what was said and know that she did do what people are saying she did. I have to see it with my own eyes before I'm going to send it to YouTube. So
I will say, I would love for it to be another mundane Matt or Suzy Lou iconic moment if he did, though.
Look at all those tabs!
I have a lot of tabs open, but I have...
Thanks for
Is that
reporting.
That one. But nothing on...
Now, wait a minute.
Nothing on that. That's just...
What
that's
the
just-
fuck?
So, I have been in a not the best place mentally, and...
Now, wait a minute, Matt! No! Matt, no!
Wait a minute, it's all the stuff talking about the story. Wait a minute.
Yeah,
wait. A minute. Suzy, no!
Oof.
Yeah, I would be lying if I wasn't hoping that he did kind of mass flag, because that would be hilarious. Speaking of his cronies, they will consume anything that he shits out and not question it. And if they aren't questioning it, it's because of this enemy of my enemy thing that goes on in the anti community. I'm fine with people, by the way, like making one channel kind of dedicated if that's what you really want. Personally, I don't think that's a really good idea, because it might in the long term affect your channel. What I do not like is people being a hypocrite and doing the exact same thing for another person, calling themselves the anti. They are more insufferable than this anti KJ community, if I'm gonna be honest. I think both sides have flaws, but the anti-anti community is just something else. There are people actually out there, and Unirock is actually part of that anti-anti community. Thinks of him as like a prince when he's really the jester. And there are people who actually think he gets shit right frequently, meaning that he's apparently credible. Bruh. The list of shit that he gets wrong is about miles and miles long. Every other creator, other than the ones who are anti-SM, seem to think otherwise, I suppose. And I would say that they're anti-SM because that's all their timelines are filled up, just like Uni's. I ask what he's gotten right with these people, because even his research on the whole SM story is very sketchy or shoddy. I have my own opinions about it. I never did get an answer, or never do, unsurprisingly. I do believe in a broken clock being right twice a day, and in fairness, I wouldn't exempt even Uni bitch from that. But there's a massive difference between he's frequently right and he's not always wrong. The issue is, though, that still doesn't make him any credible. He's actually gotten more shit wrong than right, and for anyone to type, let alone say out loud, that this dumb motherfucker is really this misunderstood nice guy, so reliable and honest. Yeah, no. And even if he was honest, which I don't believe he is, we've seen everything from this video so far that completely indicate otherwise. When you constantly get shit wrong, you will be seen as unreliable. That's just how it is. It doesn't matter if it's not out of malice. At that point, to me, he's just a dishonest, manipulative, and arrogant hack. Not even the justified kind of arrogance where I guess there are some things to brag about. More like he thinks he's smarter than he actually is. Uni has been more frequently wrong than right, and the fact none of his mongers can cite anything other than some obsession over SM is telling. How about this? Was he ever right about Tati wanting KJ's channel?
Well, I heard a rumor the other day. Pretty big one. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell anybody this or not, and I might get in trouble for telling you this, but yeah. Here comes some tea, y'all. I'm gonna give you some tea right now that no one else has probably told you this. From a very close source, one I trust very much, one of many of you trust very much too. Tati is going to try and settle by taking the channel, and even if she can't settle, she wants Katie's channel. That's the goal of this whole thing. That's the goal. Now that is some tea, okay? Because I got this on the down low. I've never heard of anything like this happening before. I've heard of channels being struck down due to activities being revealed by these kind of suits. So these suits reveal something, they log it, they prove it in court, and then it gets a channel taken down. I've kind of heard of that kind of thing happening. Never a suit that came in trying to gain control of said channel. And who knows, maybe Tati will just delete it if she gets it. Maybe she'll make videos on the damn channel if she gets it.
Sidebar, I found his phrasing a little interesting. This is a rumor, but from my top secret, reliable source that you guys apparently know about, which defeats the purpose of a anonymous source. Oh my gosh, T! Anyway. Or claiming he was in contact with Salts over the Nat emails, that he didn't know where people were hearing this from. Or saying KJ and Todd Chrisley settled, even though it was really with Chrisley's podcast company, 7C, something that is well documented in the court filings when they were settled and the case was dismissed. Or what about calling LB a drug addict and how that's what got her arrested? Meanwhile, she has finally settled with the police department. Out here questioning other people's intelligence and insulting them, but the minute someone fights back to the fucking keyboard he goes. I'ma be honest though, and feel free to disagree. I'm indifferent towards how people take jabs at each other unless it's about like race, sexuality, and gender. Don't really care about people going for appearances, lifestyle, viewpoints, whatever. I'd be lying if I wasn't ruthless or petty myself, though I try to avoid cheap shots as much as I can and try to get to the point first, unless I feel like it's gonna be completely pointless. I can also respect other people's opinion on an eye for an eye isn't okay, but the thing is, my only only rule is that don't try to be better than someone else by circle jerking morality only to do the exact same thing to another individual or group of people. Nobody likes hypocrisy. That much can be universally agreed, regardless of who you are or what you believe. Or what about his stream comments on a video that he eventually finally admitted he didn't even watch past the 3 minutes? I'm referring to Shannon's video on KJ, but mind you, she isn't the only one he would willingly go against for the sake of simping for KJ. And we already covered that earlier in the video, so we're not going to really go through that again, but you guys get the point. There was also Radiant Brit, Manda Pants, True Sleuth, BX, Angelica Oles, Emily D. Baker, Dustin Daly, Nick Snyder. The list is endless. He only backpedaled, like the little bitch he is, when people like Keemstar defended Creepshow while KJ was harassing her, and of course right when his mods confirmed her docs in the server. Not him, his mods. Most likely the same mods who are no longer in his community. Big surprise, right? These are just some moments that he's gotten shit wrong. This isn't even all of it. Yet he calls people like Renell unintelligent, which he can't even listen to a 45-minute goddamn video. I don't think this guy passed 9th grade with his own grammar and speech, probably hasn't picked up a book in his life, and a chimp would make for a better YouTuber than this guy. Hell, he couldn't even take a teeny tiny bit of criticism from a nice, wholesome lady like Charlotte, who has been nothing but polite to him, and immediately resorts to calling her dishonest, a liar. But, Uni, I'm sure it takes one to know one, surely.
Again, like, what is the payment that's happening? You know what, Charlotte? You don't like me. You don't. You like people that hate, attack, dox, or otherwise lie on Katie Joy because you are obsessed with Katie Joy. You are obsessed with her, Charlotte. What are the things Katie's done that make her a grifter? You could say that because she makes these drama videos about the Duggars, that's some kind of grift. I don't think so. I think that if you're lying in those videos, I think that if you're making stuff up, I mean, I think it's fine for people to cover rumors, drama, television, reality TV, like a lot of people do without it being called a grift. They're actually grifting. I can't think of an example where she's ran a fraudulent fundraiser, accepted money while lying to get more money, changing the details, not delivering, any of these things.
Oh.
Does Charlotte on the web deserve to be on the grifties list? Of course she does. Charlotte has not been honest. She has been a cater for the last few months. I'd love to see her change. I'd love to see it kind of like evolve. I don't think it will. I do think that she's kind of overdosed on the Caterade. And that she's on the list is because her content is deceptive.
Caters. Caterade. This is what a grown adult says to make people take him seriously. I'm guessing, according to Uniclown, I'm going by his words here, speculating people's sexualities, calling people human traffickers, and going after their sponsors is totally okay in his eyes. So I'm sure he should have no problem with me or anyone really making videos about him. So according to him, getting sued 5 times within 3 years on YouTube is a totally normal, everyday thing that content creators such as 1 million subs experience. That doxing public figures is totally okay, including private figures, getting in a fight with every single creator you ever worked with, harassing families. And I mean, why wouldn't he find that normal? It's not like he didn't let her and enable her for so long, and himself too dox private figures now, just like that woman in this Discord server. He even justified it, as you could see. He's so busy rubbing one off to KJ that his hot-blooded male self somehow forgets that 7M has an excellent lawsuit against her. Something that Uncivil Law and Nate, both pretty good lawyers that I enjoy, agreed upon. But if that's his style of normal content being put out, then if anyone who is watching this video, by any chance, you might want to reconsider working for him. That nothing will come out of it other than drama, doxing, and getting stabbed in the back. It's really not worth it. And listen, I don't even agree with everything the anti-KJ community does. I agree with him to some extent on some people just sort of devoting and just nitpicking, really, that some channels do. Some that nitpick for the sake of content and all of that. I do think that those who completely devote their channels to KJ will suffer in the long term over short term. As long as they don't give others shit for it, I won't tell them what not to do so as long as it's done respectfully and if their heart is in the right place. And that's the thing, and there's only a few I enjoy that do that kind of content. Not just because of them roasting KJ and giving constructive criticism, but because of their personalities that I stay for. Renelle and Charlotte being the only ones really worth watching. However, let's not act as if the anti-antis are any better, such as yourself, unicunts. Y'all are too busy picking fights with other channels on what they should or should not cover than come up with anything that could incorporate an appealing personality. Drama is more of a priority than the quality of your content outside of other people. Not really helpful in the long run either, just like those KJ-devoted channels. I mean, I'm sure you know your casual just chatting streams would pull in very low viewerships. That much was seen. Factually, for example, Charlotte's viewership is still pretty good on her non-KJ content, which is true crime, something that you failed to address. I can't say the same for you, though, where you can't even hit 1K views without starting beef or spamming about not just Molly, but some other creator. I sense a lot of jealousy here, and for once it's not from KJ. And people make fun of you, Uni, because you lie. Not because you're this defender of truth, we know you aren't. And you don't criticize Katie as much as you think you do, if at all. And when you do, it's only because you're going to be in the hot seat, or if she calls you out. I don't actually blame her for being frustrated with you during your breakups. I would be too at some flip-flopper who runs and cries to the antis that you criticized not too long before and really expect them to accept you back as if you're a victim. Whatever KJ does to you, it's well-deserved. Unlike KJ, though, I'm using his own words, just like how Charlotte uses KJ's own words in her own lawsuits. My reasonable theory is backed with his own sketchy history, and his need to get pegged by KJ constantly, dude. If he really thinks dangerous or unfounded outrageous claims are okay, which is what he's really saying, he's really gonna end up pissing off the wrong person one of these days in court. It may not be Molly, it could be someone else. It's not like it hasn't happened before, except it was just the wrong person who got threatened, referring to Tipster. Also, please stop lying about not being paid by Katie. That's the other reason you were triggered like hell to make this rage fest of a stream. We can literally see her super chat you during those, fraud raiser schemes, as you would say. A good amount of money, too. And there were in multiple donations. Even her husband at one point revealed you could be bought off. So why don't you go be mad at Toad instead, not Charlotte? Sit your ass down like the good lapdog you are. For the few flying monkeys of Uni that, for whatever reason, thinks that he won't throw them under the bus, if by Uni being frequently right, you really mean, oh my god, I'm gonna get this shit wrong, go on panel, pussyfoot and kiss people's asses, lie about the full story, go back to my panel, steal research, talk shit, and hope my subs buy it, add details to stories the source never even stated, and get them almost fucking sued, then yes. Uniclown is a credible genius worth listening to. This is his world, and us ordinary folks could not possibly know what goes on in his inner mind. And thank fucking God for that.
Hide the money, y'all. There's poor people around. With your broke ass.
Let's move on to his doxing claims against Molly Golightly, Elle, Justin, whatever. I'll point out every single indicator on how it's a bunch of dog shit, and there's absolutely no way it's true. I think the most interesting part of this segment is that it isn't because he doesn't provide proof. I mean, that much is already expected of Uni and goes without saying. It's not that, but because of his own words that are being used against him. a very flawed narrative that he didn't seem to think far enough for. The timing and circumstances, first off. Isn't it so convenient for his and growing victimhood that this supposedly occurs only about at least 2 days after he embarrassed himself on said alleged doxer? Inconvenient for him if it was true, but rather convenient for his victimhood. First, it was vet bashing. That was his initial claims, and no one really believed it. No one fucking vet bashed him, by the way. Molly only said that if he knew how it was like to be in a vet in a coma, why would he attack the Justice for Vaughn movement and harass the family? Which, by the way, we'll get to the specifics of that later before we conclude the video. It's about as dumb and flimsy as much as the doxing, though. Remember when he went on that panel, fell apart at the seams, and then tried telling everyone on his channel that what he did was this smart strategy to get them to talk, to get answers? So, unicunts, that must also include you bringing up a sob story about your son almost losing his life. You didn't even say that wasn't part of your strategy. So I'm just gonna have to go by that, because if that was the case, wouldn't you have ever mentioned it? I'm guessing that was part of your, strategy or something? And playing your version of 4-dimensional chess? Throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks? Is what it really is. According to what you were scrambling what to say to your audience, that must mean you lied giving your kid CPR and being in a coma while on duty. Not to mention, no one, current or past viewers or mods, have ever heard of this story until now. The only time we hear it is when you're on Molly's panel, when you're falling apart at the seams. It's only when you're being questioned by the people you've been talking mad shit about, make 40 videos on, you knew nothing, all without proof, and being confronted on your lies. As well as realizing you pissed off your followers who expected answers and the truth when they were watching that stream. You know what? I'm actually impressed. Not even disgusted that you would exploit and lie about traumatic events in your pathetic life, all for your stupid ass channel. Caring for your channel would be a different thing in any other contextual background. And admittedly, I'm very impressed you have the shameless, empty, hollow lack of morality that I've never seen anyone else but KJ doing. You've taken a page out of her playbook. The fact that you lie about that, which I 100% believe is a sob story, you fabricate it and without good reason, is that I just don't have the words to say it. Other than congratulations, man. You exploited your kid as a gotcha moment against someone, and if it was true, that still makes you look like an absolute terrible person. That would mean that you know the pain of Marvan's family are going through, what Marvan went through, because you lived it, and now you want to inflict it on someone else, all for $1. It's either for $1 or out of some sort of sadism, even though you claim to be this nice guy, which, no, you're a piece of shit. You tried to have your cake and eat it too, but instead you create a lose-lose situation where you either lied, gross as it is, or you went through it but will still attack the movement regardless, because you want to, or both. You made a big mistake trying to gaslight your viewers, your own narrative that you didn't really think about ahead of time, and that's being ripped apart. I guess you unknowingly dug yourself a massive hole where you aren't just a coward, but someone who will make up lies about his own family. The best thing is that you know you're fucked if you respond to either of this. That would mean you would have to admit that you were lying all this time about the people you accused of crimes, that it wasn't a strategy at all, and which is something that you're still sticking by. And additionally, you were lying to your own supporters. The other alternative would be that you lied about those events in your life, or even both. I'd say that you should just admit you were lying to your audience and the people you smeared. Honestly, that would be the lesser of two evils. The other being you lied and made claims of being relatable to Vaughn, all for a quick buck, in a pathetic attempt to hurt this grieving family. You did yourself no favors either way. This wouldn't be the case at all if you just told the truth, or more polite terms, just shut the fuck up and shove that massive dildo-shaped L up your ass. I wouldn't blame your family if they never spoke to you again if they saw that live, hearing every word, every deception in your sentence. I really hope they do see that live to see you for the useless scum you are and where your priorities truly lie, your dumbass channel. I know I would. I'd disown you if I had a sorry excuse of a sperm donor like you making up lies about what I apparently went through or did not go to, all to profit, and not because you care about your children. It wasn't even Molly who brought up your kid on that live. That was you. Just right after when you began bitching about KJ to try, to the surprise of fucking no one, and gain points with them or blend in. If you knew she was this prevalent doxer, and I'm talking about Molly Golightly, true or not, why even mention you have children at all? Wouldn't you think, hey, I'd rather not let this problematic YouTuber not know I have kids. That way, they don't become a target or be looked up. Since this YouTuber has a history of doxing, I gotta watch my back. Not by a long shot. You just heard him. According to him, he's been doxed so many times by the alt-right and left and centrist and politicians and atheists and conspiracy theorists and the boy who bagged his groceries and the dog that shit in his backyard and the many girls who rejected him during high school and blah 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 blah.
Oh, boo fucking who?
How about we see some examples of people actually being doxed? And these are just some. Of course, all of them are people that were doxed by your harpy, KJ. Charlotte was doxed by someone last year and twice by KJ now. All Things Sassy and her husband, who is a private figure, got doxed by KJ. Creepshow, when she got doxed by KJ in your server. Daniel Joseph and Robert Shin's family by KJ, again, along with 7M dancers. Of course, interestingly, and not surprisingly, you didn't say anything at all. The only one you spoke out about was Creepshow. And the difference between Creepshow and these other creators is that she had about over 100k subs. Naturally, of course, that's when, your sense of honor and caring about private data was suddenly important to you. I wonder why. This is nothing new, though, and something that we've already seen before. This is the same guy that when Creepshow got doxed, he never even sent a message to her to warn her about the dox that was sent, and by KJ no less. His times were also all off. There were massive gaps that suggested it was handled hours later than he let on. His first instinct was to make a 40-minute video or stream pre-recorded and monetized. Even then, he still didn't reach out to Creepshow privately. Very telling. It was only his former mods that gave her screenshots, which he repeatedly asked in his live chat. It's something to think about, his lack of urgency to take appropriate action. If by continuing to get donations and monetizing your shit and drawn out videos count as a sense of urgency, then yeah, I guess the urgency to run to your channel first before anyone else and do damage control. Congrats, dude. The last takeaway that you lacked, other than proof or self-awareness, was something that would be common in everyone in that situation. Fear, concern, anxiety, panic. Nothing of the sort was there. The only time you showed any sort of agitation or anxiety was the possibility of a YouTuber suing your ass. Not your family's house photos, or kids being at risk, or docs being spread around.
You heard this? Yeah, you heard this. Then she didn't want to sue me. Then she said that she was going to respond to me suing her, which was strange because I was responding to her suing me when I said that I was going to prepare my case. It was pretty obvious. I've been really direct this whole time. I've kept the same outlook. I've had the same reaction. But anyway, so she was going to sue me, then she wasn't going to sue me, and then she was going to sue me again, then she wasn't going to sue me again, and supposedly she's going to sue me again. Listen, this isn't how you do, this isn't what lawsuits are for. Lawsuits literally are to resolve an issue. There is no challenge. I have no, whatever the hell Molly's creating in this fantasy world she lives in, it ain't coming from me, man. Doing it because they've been threatened. It's not just me, y'all. She ain't just threatening me. She ain't just trying to dox me. There's a lot of stuff she's done to me that I just can't talk about now because I've had to, take action.
Now, remember to keep that clip in mind. He wants to sue Molly for defamation or whatever, because apparently he has a case. I don't understand what case he thinks he has. I mean, he's not even worth the piss on a toilet seat in a Taco Bell bathroom, let alone $1 or $2. It is pretty funny though, because he claims he's not in it for the money, but then we see a tweet that says that he wants 5K. Okay, dude.
Sue her civilly. She has nothing I want. Civil lawsuits are when you want something from somebody. I don't want anything from her.
So, at this point, we still don't see him taking any sort of action or go to the authorities whatsoever about the doxing. It's almost like an afterthought. In 1 second, he says it's not about the money, even though what does money have to do with your safety being threatened? I think money should be the last thing right now. It's your safety, your kids' safety, assuming those are true, which, again, we know it's not because he never provides proof. You are willing to go to a court or YouTube, but you're not going to the authorities or even attempting? Come on, dude. I don't know about anyone else, but as much as it sucks being called like a racist, which is also another thing that Molly never even said, once again, why is it about money? It's supposed to be about your kids. Why aren't you seeking some sort of protection against this? Why does it lead back to money or your image? Well, your priorities are actually pretty clear, but it's very unsettling that a person who has been doxxed does not engage continuously with a doxer or continue streaming what you've been doing, basically the same exact streams, talking shit the way you did or do. Didn't you say something along the lines of Letitia not being harassed or doxxed because she didn't alert the authorities? And even more, to those who are listening, please tell me, what would you do if you were doxxed? Would you log off? Stop engaging with the doxer? Alert authorities, especially if photos of your house and kids were being sent around? Take legal action or take a break from social media. That's what a sensible person who was doxxed or had their private info leaked would do. That is the appropriate response. But with Uni, oh no, he did the very opposite of that. He didn't do shit. Well, he did technically do something, but he used many contradictions, as you heard earlier, where people are sending him stuff for a report. But in the next breath, he says that he already sent an email to YouTube. How are you gonna send an email to YouTube before you get that proof? I don't understand. The first thing he does, and again, not a coincidence, when prior he got fucking bodied by everyone, including his own followers, is to reach out to YouTube. Not to do another stream, another video, another 40-minute pre-recorded video. Because apparently, it seems to him that YouTube is the same as contacting law enforcement. He ran to his channel first. It's not YouTube's job to help you with doxing, and the only action they take is to shut Molly up or take down her channel. And to tell you the truth, YouTube really doesn't give a shit about small creators like yourself. We've seen that time and time and again. I don't understand what makes you so special. He cried and whined about the big bad evil Molly harassing and doxing his widow channel. Oh no.
Stop it. Get some help.
For fuck's sake, dude, your priorities at the very least are skewed. What's next? Is this guy gonna stream when he has a stroke before calling 911? Tell his audience, hey guys, welcome to my channel. Don't forget to like and sub. And by the way, I think I'm dying. Good lord, dude. At least the best part about it is that even if you were telling the truth about your own traumatic life events, you have no one to blame but yourself for others not believing you. That attempt at victimhood, which is flimsy, and your own scrambling for excuses really hurt you more. So don't expect anyone to feel sorry for you even if it's true. You only brought it up because it was convenient, not because you either lived it or maybe because you don't really care. You really didn't think that through. So much for being a master tactician than being an outright laughable, lying ass clown. The latter would have been more preferable. I've seen mice sniff their way out of a maze quicker and more efficiently than you ever did. He doesn't realize his backtracking is coming to haunt him and throw his accusations out the window. I'll be straight up. He does come off as a racist. At best, incredibly tone deaf. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, chances are it's a goddamn duck. People have the right to their opinion, by the way, and say, oh, don't make this about race. But they should also know that people of color's voices shouldn't be ignored when these issues are brought up, that their voices shouldn't be drowned out. Just because you may not see it, others didn't live it or witness it themselves. For starters, a racist doesn't come in one stroke. They're not always shouting racial epithets or loud neo-Nazis chanting with tiki torches in Charlottesville. Racism comes in many forms, such as microaggressions. Some people are also what I would like to call as diet racist while trying not to be, or denying it when people call their ass out, perhaps when they're not even realizing it themselves. A wannabe ally, if you will. It is fascinating to see him attack a black woman while the wannabe LARPing bitch journalist who has no issue bringing up her criminal background, as if black people aren't demonized enough, especially when you consider that bringing up those criminal records still has nothing to do with the movement itself, that there's no reason other than sparking hate. It's not like KJ hasn't pulled more racist and questionable stunts, calling two 7M black dancers, for example, that she's been harassing deadbeat dads, saying James and Miranda Derrick, an interracial couple, don't have chemistry but she and another white dancer do, accusing an Asian couple of immigration fraud and actually saying that their English isn't all that great, defending a white wife of a black vet in a coma and demonizing him, comparing the Duggars to the Taliban, and her own husband being signed to a white supremacist label, all while trying to be quick and accuse others of being racist or circle jerking being an ally to people of. In fairness, if only one of these things were brought up, or what she said, I would probably give it a pass because it could be just coincidental and not ill attention, but when it happens constantly, then that's when you have to put the foot down. In other words, an isolated incident, but that kind of goes throughout the window when you don't apply the same standards to white people, and if it's a thing that happens over and over and over again. Uni racist, on the other hand, would never have the same energy if Letitia was a white woman. It is amazing to me. He investigates fraud raisers, according to him, all the time, but he didn't once touch KJ's sketchy-ass gift card giveaway last year. I'll go ahead and link Tipsters and BuzzGal's videos who covered it if you want more details and if you haven't heard about it yourself. And regarding that, this was actually around the same time where Uni burned bridges with KJ, but he still stayed very quiet about it, about this sketchy-ass giveaway. He didn't seem to talk about it at all. Uni Pebble is quick to try and demand to know everything about a person's life. Where the money is going, where is the money being spent, why isn't there a pro bono lawyer because, they totally work for free, when was the last time they took a shit? Yet he doesn't do his own research on KJ, that he claims that he's not friends with, though he frequently associates with. I'm referring to the Ronald McDonald Fundraiser, a charity meant for sick children. It was in a Facebook group where she later got kicked out of, since she was ironically a family blogger at the time, leeching from churches as well by pretending to be a Christian. He didn't even mention once about her not providing receipts for this fundraiser. Matter of fact, she never set up a formal fundraiser at all. She set up a PayPal. Once again, let me repeat that. A PayPal. A fucking PayPal. I'm gonna even spell it out. PayPal. Not a GoFundMe, Facebook run fundraiser, or a YouTube fundraiser where you can check and verify how much is raised and if the goal has been met. A fucking personal PayPal where she can steal as much money without no one knowing. And naturally, not only does she buy a brand new house, but still stays quiet to this day and blocks anyone who wants these receipts. Receipts that where they want to know where their money went. And to make matters a little bit worse, that money most likely never going to a charity meant for children. That's when you should ask where the money is going. Uni, especially since she made that specific promise of donating to the Ronald McDonald fundraiser. But here, Uni is criticizing Letitia for taking donations for her fucking Cash App, We never see him doing the same for KJ, who very likely stole money from a fucking charity for sick kids like hers. A special place in hell is reserved for people taking advantage of that. Yet he still bitches and whines about the lack of transparency, which, once again, we just saw and heard him that he believed Goose on the panel about Letitia and rejecting evidence. For over 40 videos, he still continued to talk shit. He still continues to talk shit. And it's nothing but him demanding where the money went. Blatantly, maliciously, and would rather continue this, calling this black woman a scammer, a thief, a scammer, a fraud. Even though he was the one who outed himself as an ignorant, leeching fool, instead of being objective and reasonable in, apparently, not a bad guy. These proclaimed nice guys who talk the most about being nice when they're really just the hangnail of the tea community. And honestly, that's the nicest way to put it. Why didn't you investigate that fraud fundraiser or demand receipts for this specific fundraiser? Even after you fell out with KJ, because I would have thought that you would have, go all out. You were so quick to lie about doxers not being in your servers. Didn't you say people come to your lazy shit channel to expose fundraisers, but you can't even research the very one that was in front of you, no matter who it is? And what about the gift card scam? You are blind as shit, and that vape smoke is obscuring your vision or train of thought. You act as if KJ is the only one who gets harassed. Her son apparently gets exploited, which he doesn't. Her husband, who is a public figure, attacked. The white woman who can't stop running her mouth, that's the person you vehemently defend to the death. A woman who could save her a lot of trouble, but you have no issue doing exactly that for Letitia, a black woman who is trying to stay off the internet as best as possible, but it's the people who come to her. If you think KJ is being harassed, what do you call what you're doing to Marvon's family? You're judging their past while ignoring that the cunt you simp for has a DUI, constantly defames people, putting her family at risk every single day with lawsuits, and also has a history of possible fraudulent fundraisers herself that she does not give receipts to herself and avoids answering questions. So many whys. Totally what an innocent person does. You are the company you surround yourself with. Maybe you don't talk about KJ's potential fraud raisers because you yourself are a liar and a fraud. How anyone can't see the blatant hypocrisy, the audacity of these two idiots staying silent on one bitch and torturing an actual grieving woman. KJ is a white middle class or classless suburban trashy housewife in Minnesota, 45 years old, who exploits and slanders for personal gain. She sits on her ass all day, stalking the Duggars or reality stars or celebrities or whatever, while Letitia works outside of her home like anyone else does. Her fucking kid, also named Vaughn, is alive, healthy, and well, smarter than both KJ and Toad put together. Unlike Letitia, who is desperate, KJ confines her child and only ever pays attention if it's time to sadfish for donations. And she doesn't show receipts of that, interestingly enough. Something that you never asked her, right? Even if her son was in a coma, she would be more focused on social media. She's shown that much in the past during emergencies. Meanwhile, Letitia is a mother whose son is in a coma, who doesn't have that luxury. She was constantly denied to see him until she was forced to seek legal counsel. Therefore, a shit ton of lawyer fees. That doesn't even include travel expenses, foods, hotels, and that was only for one visit. And she had to sign an NDA Dre demanded. To this day, Marvin Sr. and Wynette have yet to know where Marvon is. He never mentioned Letitia being the one getting scammed as well. People sending requests for payments, such as $2,000 fucking dollars for prayers, demanding refunds. All by ignorant old white ladies, followers of KJ, which hilariously enough is her demographic, all snobs who are judgmental as she is. You hardly see any people of color on her page as it is. If you just go to her Facebook, it's literally all the same kind of people. He didn't want to mention anything of Letitia's victimization. Why do that when he can play up the trope of the black woman being a thieving criminal even more? To him, that would be far more believable, something to help him. After all, that stereotype is pretty easy to take advantage of. Letitia's world is being torn apart. Marvon is her world. She has to live in ignorance every single day whether her son will wake up again. And it's been almost 3 months. And all because of a white woman who happens to be his wife, or a poor excuse of a wife, who is forcing her to pay lawyers just to visit him briefly. Someone who shouldn't have to rely on donations or spend money just to make a hospital visit and hold her son's hand. Dre has shown how vindictive she is and will do anything to not let Marvon's family have closure of any sort. Dre would rather waste money because of her resentment to Marvon's family, who became aware of domestic disputes between Vaughn and Dre. The agony Vaughn went through to commit suicide in the end. Dre would rather waste money on a lawyer, which she no longer has now, by the way, than just let the family have a simple visit. She forced them to get lawyers, spend money. That money Dre also spent could have been for her children, but she chose her pride over her financial health. It's almost like a certain KJ when it comes to ignoring C&Ds and would rather have lawsuits than prioritize her family. Or the bitch boy who would rather continue streaming and poking the bear instead of considering that he could be sued. Very likely. It seems easier that you'd rather villainize Letitia, the black woman, and make this white woman who knows better to, be a total angel, or could do no wrong, or at the very least she's being harassed. Get the fuck out of here. None of this would be happening if Dre just let them visit. That's all. There would be no cash apps, no harassment towards the family, no doxing of their phone numbers in criminal records, no lawyers getting doxed, no fundraisers, no refunds. Hell, Dre wouldn't even be getting backlash and exposed for what she is. And best of all, you exploiting and harassing this family, all for your shit YouTube channels and your paycheck. But you still want to paint her as a victim who did no wrong? Seriously? Are you that dedicated to showcasing Letitia to be this aggressor? She was the one who started the spectacle, not Letitia. And she's laughing about how stupid you really are. Are you sure it's not because you're trauma vultures and you wouldn't make money off of your channel? Because that's much is obvious. Did it ever occur to you that Letitia would have never even make a Cash App had it not been for Dre's stupid fucking pride and ego? If she just didn't prevent people from visiting him, his own family, even if it was for a second, them almost waving a white flag so as long that they visit him. Sure, it's people who wanted and asked her to make one. She didn't really initiate that if you were following this case. She never begged either. If you wanted to donate, donate. Or send prayers. That's all she asked. It was only when Dre blocked the family and refused to let anyone see them that they had to resort to this. A white woman who has no problem encouraged narratives that Letitia is this terrible person despite her not being in contact, not providing any proof while she knows her husband can't defend his family. She is taking advantage of his silence so he doesn't defend his own goddamn family. All while being the same person doing what she has been doing to Marvon, all on her fucking public TikToks where she's dolling herself on camera or licking and applying saliva to his face, putting shit in the IV tube, which I don't understand how she didn't get in trouble because that's so illegal. If she can put this in public, God knows what she's doing to him off camera. The fact that you trust this woman's words when her credibility has been shot down by her own doing is baffling. And naturally, you won't mention that she was no longer allowed to see her husband, who is now in a nursing home. So by your standards, is she also not the absentee mother and wife, or is it just Letitia, the black woman who's just a thief, right? You defend a white woman of a black vet in a fucking coma, thinking of her as innocent, which we know that's not the case, claiming she's been harassed and called a terrible person. Your fuck buddy even called her a murderer, which you don't seem to understand. You fail to acknowledge that unlike Letitia, there are actual clips out there of Dre not giving her children food and ignoring her fucking husband having seizures, and instead wants to give him some herbs then get medical attention. And also, your friend that called her a murderer, Marvon's family didn't even accuse her of any crime. That was your friend, KJ. That's the person you and KJ somehow want to give the benefit of the doubt, which you insist on your fucking echo chamber to believe, even when we see it with our own eyes and ears, which is a very common pattern with you. Why didn't you give Letitia the benefit of the doubt? The same courtesy if you're really neutral or a reporter. Tell us, did you ever once reach out to Letitia and get her side at all before spamming your video feed? That would be the bare minimum that you could have done, and you didn't. She's not the one ignoring her family and using her pride to prevent the family seeing him. That was Dre. I don't think Marvon's family would even turn to social media if they weren't at their wits' end. What would you do in that situation? It's not like Dre isn't a mentally stable grifter who gives two shits about her family. Yeah, right. The same way you don't care about yours, or KJ's about her own as well. It's all about it's all about Dre's TikTok, and it's all about your goddamn YouTube channel. The potential, they knew of the potential risks too, like their dirty laundry being aired out. Racism, being ignored as it's a black victim. You just proved that you wouldn't go the extra mile for your kids, and this is how you treat Marvon's family. I'm sure you can relate to being a lazy, one-track minded, narcissistic parents just fine. You proved you or KJ wouldn't go the extra mile for your family by trashing this family. You would rather absolve of all wrongdoing by Dre when this could have all been prevented. But maybe you guys just like the drama of it all. You could say all you want that you care about the kids and the harassment, but we know it's not. You guys like the drama. You want to exploit this poor man, harass his family, and somehow not acknowledge that this could have all been prevented. It should have never ever happened. And on a sidebar, this one is for both Uni cunts and KJ, especially KJ and Uni. If you're watching this or listening to this, please relay this message to that bitch. It's obvious that she's in communication with you. You yourself admitted that she super chatted you, but claim in the next breath that you're not getting money from her. Like, dude, do you never hear yourself talking or double check what you're writing on Twitter? She's more racist than you are, though that really doesn't say a whole lot. KJ herself is so quick to pull up somebody's criminal record, such as a black couple and family like Marvon Sr. and Letitia. Meanwhile, not too long ago, she has no issue platforming and licking a registered fucking sex offender's ass on her damn platform, praising him, giving him a voice, all while trying to shut a black mother up. How about her donating $1,000 instead of $500 to Marvon, which, by the way, we all know that she asked for a refund. And she donated $1,000 to Kelly's legal fund, which, if anyone doesn't know or stopped following the Sophie Long case, that really was for Kelly's PR firm. A goddamn PR firm. Totally something an innocent person does. That's sarcasm, by the way. She defended that cunt along with her scumfuck fiance, who was allegedly essaying their 9-year-old daughter. Both of them had criminal records, much worse than Letitia. Not to mention, he also, almost a year ago, assaulted an elderly family member. This was the same time, Uni, that you were simping for KJ and defending her from this troll army of a bunch of Karens who would rather have a little girl go back to being SA'd. Where is that same energy? Uni, I thought you were always tackling fraud raisers. Why didn't you have the same energy with these white people like Kelly Long's fundraiser? And these are criminals, to be blunt, because that's what they are. Those records and phone calls from Kelly and Jake absolutely do not lie. They are clear-cut scum putting their children in danger. It's funny, really. For people so quick to demonize people of color and use their past or unfortunate circumstances against them, twisting it, both of you have no issue platforming sex offenders, defending domestic abusers, talk about CSAM in extensive detail, fraudsters, and not question either of your own sketchy fundraisers. What's the common denominator when it comes to this demographic? All of them, ding ding ding, being lily whites. The way I see it, you do not really care about actual criminals. You're more concerned on calling people criminals instead. Whether it's true or false, though more than often, it's false or greatly exaggerated, and I hope your asses get sued to oblivion. Why didn't you investigate whether KJ's donation to the Gabby Foundation being legit? Because that receipt that she screenshotted wasn't showing up in PayPal records. Where were you when these white people are doing the most heinous shit more than the people of color you harass? You aren't anywhere when actual and potential fraudulent fundraisers happen. It is interesting to me you never covered KJ's gift card giveaway when she was collecting donations through PayPal, not being clear on the numbers collected because she kept flip-flopping between the amount, and was also doing some sort of lottery-like tactic. Something against YouTube terms of service, you fucking moron. You say KJ doesn't grift while trashing Charlotte, but yet you don't even acknowledge that she platformed Caleb Williams and sucked his ass more than a human enema, an actual sex offender who assaulted a 15-year-old girl. And you say, oh, she's not doing anything wrong with her platform. Get the fuck out of here. Why else would she platform him other than getting excited at the idea of listening to the most disgusting details of SA? You think people not making payments or taxes or not being able to take care of their son at fucking 15 years old or not having a huge house is a big deal, but don't care about, sexual abuse, domestic violence, or racism. You don't. So don't deny, because the way you yapped about minuscule bullshit and glossing over those problems when confronted speaks for itself. That's more than enough to tell me you don't have a shit to give. Why would you accept blood money from a racist like Toad who is signed to a fucking neo-Nazi record label? I don't know about anyone else, but I would slap that shit away if someone offered me money. And I have turned that shit away from myself. It's something that has happened. It's dirty money I refuse to accept from a racist piece of shit. As gray of a person I am, which I won't deny, I would like to think I have enough morality to not sink that low and be that desperate. Uni, of course, doesn't have an issue with it because he has no class or standards. Money makes his pathetic little world go round. And before anyone tries to come at me for making this about race, you know what? Fuck right off. The circumstances would be different if Letitia was white and Dre was black, and people should know that. Dre would be called a deadbeat mother the same way Letitia is being called a deadbeat mother without a second thought. So much like she called Tie-Dyes and James Derrick, both black dads, deadbeats, all while siding with the scorned exes who are also white women. Unibitch would hate to be called a deadbeat who owes child support but will attack this black woman without a second thought, saying she abandoned her kid. What about KJ accusing Robert Shin and his wife of immigration fraud and also saying that their English isn't very good? I mean, I thought you would, investigate fraudulent people, but it's very selective. Get fucked, dude, and maybe focus on that child support you have to apparently pay. At this point, I hope KJ throws you under the bus exactly the same way she did with everyone else, including Amy King. That's why you're on your knees for her. You know she will. Out of everyone else she threw under the bus and harassed, it's you that deserves it the most. I guess you never heard of the phrase, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And y'all can bet I'll be laughing my ass off. It's karma at its finest. And besides, everyone, these two have called others racist for far less. Remember KJ accusing Augie RFC, Nick Diorio, and Emily D. Baker for being racist on Twitter? That they were alt-right creators? Yet her loser, dickless failure of a husband is signed to a white supremacist label who gave Mein Kampf 4 out of 5 stars by Hitler on Goodreads. Here she's crying about Emily D. Baker being a privileged racist to a black murder victim. The one time she tries to use Breonna Taylor's name, all to try to get back at a woman she is just so jealous of. Yet she is the one trashing and terrorizing a black family, and so is Uni, who has called SM racist, all without proof or flimsy evidence. These two project so much, so quick to call others racist and God knows whatever else, but God forbid people turn the tables on them for doing exactly what they accuse other people of, just using their standards, if not more, against them. I'll link Tia's video on microaggressions that KJ and Uni both implement. She's more polite than I am about this topic because I just stopped caring about being polite personally. You know what will make you more respectable? Just call Letitia a lazy black woman on welfare who is not relying leeching from a defenseless man because she can't defend his own family. Hell, call her the N-word, that she's a stupid ratchet black woman. Stop beating around the bush and tell us how you really feel. At least people who are outright racist are more respectable because they stand by their beliefs and don't pussy out the way you do. You, on the other hand, no spine, always passive aggressive, always a chicken shit, and since you can't even hold your own on a fucking civil panel of 2 creators, you don't have the balls to really tell us how you feel about attacking a black mother, posing to a defaming, vile, disgusting white woman who masturbates to the sound of her own voice, who lives to slander others, and has no other skills of her own. Quick update, it has come to my attention that, no surprise, Unirock is attacking Letitia, but on top of that, he's attacking Letitia for finally getting fed up after 2 months of harassment and her responding to her harassers and the people who started all of this. So we can go ahead and add angry black woman to a grieving woman who has been harassed over and over again. So there's that. Congrats, Unirock. You just make yourself look worse and worse each time. Just say that you're racist and move on.
Are you kidding me? This is the woman whose son is sick right now. What? Letitia, you really aren't the nice victim-y person. Okay, so here's what was said that Letitia did this to. It does show there's a history of repeated behavior and backs up previous statements made that were considered lies. Just something to think about. So quick to hurl assumptions on Dre. So she comes in and flips that person off. Letitia, this is her actual page, coming in and flipping this person off. And of course, everyone's laughing at her for doing it. Letitia, Molly, do you want to answer to Letitia acting like this?
Aww. Is this the little bitch that KJ sends to defend her? A guy who only wipes his ass twice a week? KJ, is that the best you can do? How far are you fallen? Isn't it telling that this is by far the worst controversy KJ has been in? Is it really a coincidence that she's going especially hard on a black family compared to the other non-black people, most of them whites, that she's defamed? And yet this is the only controversy you will jerk off and participate for KJ. Of all times too. It's pretty funny and not at all coincidental when you really think about it. He kept silent on other controversies, but this one he wants to milk and make almost 50 videos as I'm writing the script. It's easy for him because they are black, and he can just rely on stereotypes and make this a lot easier. Someone who uses race to try to get a gotcha moment to someone he hates, not because he particularly cares about racism, no matter how much he'll try to deny otherwise. He doesn't. That's a fact. If you only talk about racism just to get back at someone and not bring it up in any other context, you are a racist or don't care at all otherwise. And on a side note, it totally isn't creepy and a degenerate move to twist a young child making a little noise during a live twist it to a guy jerking off? I think a call to the FBI is in order if that's where your mind drifted to, because that's really, really gross. And try to pretend that you care about racial issues and how that said person was trying to derail it. Are you sure about that? Because it seems like you were the one who derailed it, and in the most gross way possible. Get the fuck out of here. Are you and KJ that obsessed with porn and enacting CSAM, twisting everything to something perverse out of spite or ignorance? Just a thought. I'm just calling it as I see it. You call Letitia and her family, Marvan's whole family, grifters? All while saying KJ isn't a grifter, she's successful, therefore that doesn't make her a grifter? Go fuck yourself. Then again, I don't even know why I'm wasting my breath. This is the same Mensa who thinks the Little Mermaid has to be white. I suppose the idea of a fish woman being black is way too much for him to handle. Seems like Unicunts believes talking crabs and singing fish exist the same way. Actually, perhaps to him they do exist. Whenever he's smoking the pipe, that is.
No. It's a talking lobster. Have you ever seen anything as crazy as a lobster talking?
This is a person with a nuanced take on societal and racial issues that plague people of color, overtly and covertly. A dirty-looking white dude who didn't look like he's taken a shower in years, sits on his ass, collecting government assistance, but quick to taunt others about their parenting and defending a piece of shit like KJ more than anyone, more than the people she harasses and doxes. Get the fuck out of here, and additionally, keep people of color's names and dead victims out of your fucking mouth, you no-neck asshat. Out of all of this, I do think the vet bashing is the most laughable. The subtle racist aspects and disgusting tone-deaf behavior is more infuriating, but the blatant lack of self-awareness makes his claims of vet bashing lies more funny than annoying. I didn't realize my original script was initially watered down until I let my friends, who are actually in the military or are former military and some are veterans, because, I live near a military base. I let them look at it. A mix of people of color, white, some current soldiers, most of them were just Marines or Army. None of them have ever seen or believed you from the jump. It had much harsher things to say, which I'm not sure if I want to repeat them because I don't want to get flagged. First of all, no, and no. No one is vet bashing you. Questioning someone is not vet bashing. As far as I'm concerned, no one from what I've seen that he's accused was that they didn't say anything about him not being a vet. Not once. The only question someone had was, why would you attack his family, harass him, when he himself apparently had a kid who almost passed and him being in a coma himself? And to the surprise of no one, he never did acknowledge his question, choosing to ignore it. It further leads me to believe that if he can't even answer that, it means it didn't happen. He wouldn't know. That's why he's doing what he does. And let's say if this really did happen, that people were really just belittling your service to this country and asked for proof, what do you call what you're doing once again to Marvan's family? You can't demand someone or deny receipts just to keep up with your false narratives, all while hoping to God that no one questions you or asks you for the same information. Additionally, vet bashing is in no way violating the law, even if it did happen. It has no weight for a civil defamation suit either. That's not even the basis of you emailing YouTube to demand a channel be brought down or try to get their videos deleted, let alone a civil defamation suit. That isn't really violating any YouTube guidelines anyway, even if anyone could perceive it as gross. The only time it can fall under a possible violation is leaking unredacted reports. Nobody did that. Nobody cares enough for you to do that. Even though you're still quick to ask for someone's financial records, even when you offered receipts some other way. So I don't understand why you're getting mad when people are doing what you're doing. I mean, you know what can be considered legally problematic? Something that can take your channel down? Accusing people of actual crimes. Vet bashing or belittling service to a person is not a crime. If anything, it would fall under opinion so long as it's reasonable. Accusing people of being frauds and scammers, therefore blocking any chance of them having business or straight up tortious interference, it absolutely is a crime, especially if they get fed up and brought to a judge. You really can't possibly think that just because someone was a big meanie poo-poo head, that means you can justify defamatory comments? It's like being prosecuted for a DUI charge and saying, well, others were speeding, but cops didn't do their job and stopped them and just picked up my clients instead. Not how it works. Uni, you've shown yourself to have no standards for yourself, no responsibility, inability to work with others, incompetence to confront your own detractors, gaslight and disrespect your viewers. That's fact because we've seen and heard it. We don't even have to dig deep to find it. With that being said, that brings me to believe that you're downplaying the real impact you had while servicing this country. How can you expect anyone to believe your claims and contribution when you can't go out of your own way to research and show cowardice as well on the internet, no less, where you can do whatever you want behind your keyboard? In all realms of possibility, you're incompetent at even that. Behind a keyboard is just so simple, and yet you expect us to believe that you went through basic training, even though you're pussying out on an online panel? I mean, I would like to think that the military demands honor to mesh with your fellow soldiers regardless of how you feel about them, and most of all have some sort of conviction. You don't got none of that. Hell, honorable discharge is just something where you haven't done enormous shit like murder or insubordination. It could be just a medical issue, though I have my own thoughts on that. Being in the military doesn't always make you a good person either, or honorable either way, the way you think it does. But even the scumfucks I knew who served in the military still had traits that you greatly lack. They didn't back down, no matter what their viewpoints were, and certainly weren't afraid to speak their mind. I mean, the war and battles kind of shaped that conviction. None of them did what you've done in the character you've shown. It doesn't also help that your stories have changed as well constantly. First it was in Iraq, apparently, then to Afghanistan, then the United States. Whatever. Can't even make up your own mind on what lie to go with. The way I see it, as well as my friends did, is that I'm defending veterans. You're using the term vet bashing because you know it's salacious, because it'll elicit sympathy, and use it as a sob story, sad fishing, or use against other creators you dislike and defame. There is legitimate vet bashing and misconceptions of what military folks go through. Mental health and PTSD often not addressed because of people's broader political and social views, generalizing all of them in one box, or lack of addressing some of the failures in being in the military for those vets, such as not a lot of transparency given from superiors, for sometimes being a thankless profession even. See, that's vet bashing. It's not you being asthmad and twisting what someone says just to get some sympathy. It's not catty internet bullshit or being questioned, not even doubted, but questioned, and you call that vet bashing? The fact that you would even throw your hurt feelings or inability to take any criticism, any responsibility in the same league as vet bashing is insulting more than anything. Don't you compare the two. All for your channel, all to avoid criticism, all for clicks and $1. Exploiting your status just to get a one-up on someone else, even if it means lying, is a different kind of low. By the way, everyone, I'm not even sure if anyone noticed this, but I guess he was stupid enough to do this, and I haven't seen a single person bring it up. Do you know what else soldiers and vets won't do? Especially when demanding respect and crying about, oh my god, they're being mean to me on the internet, disrespecting fellow soldiers, and not just by attacking their families, but making thumbnails like this, exaggerating, disrespecting, the same way you made Molly and Elle thumbnails. Haven't seen quite the same energy for your Dre thumbnails. Please explain to me how your thought process was, okay, I'm gonna go to Photoshop, distort it for the funnies, and then browse for an image for the thumbnail on YouTube Studio, and let's go live, baby! Without a second thought. How you didn't think it's not tasteless and a total mockery. I know you'll downplay it as a joke. Of course you will. But you didn't think anyone would notice you making a joke out of this Marine in a coma from committing suicide to get away from his volatile wife, to make jokes about the movement, hearing of this man's passing, which, by the way, is not even true, but you made it a laughing matter.
Sue Molly for every dime she made off of Marvan's passing. So I don't know if that's true or not. Though I keep getting told this. I keep getting things sent to me. Did I say that? I didn't think I did. Yeah, I didn't hear myself say that. It might have sounded like I did, but of course, no. So everything Molly's saying about Dre feeling like that Marvan's a burden or something, bullshit.
Actually, you know what? I don't really understand why you are even subtly are defending Dre and, not making fun of her. It's funny, I don't know if you think she's gonna fuck you or something, which isn't gonna happen because A, I think even someone like her has standards, and B, you can never live up to this man, Marvan. Not ever. And I think she's smarter than, even associate with someone like you. The very simple fact is that you are not Marvan. Keep doing it, because now you've opened every door for people to now come after you, mock you, though with more truth to it, that you're a leech, that you exploit your veteran status to leech money and benefit from it more than actually do anything, all while not doing things like pay for child support and have the audacity to attack parents, all while having the audacity to harass the mother of a Marine desperate to see her son. It's not because you give two shits about Marvan, a victim, a suicide victim, and that he can't defend himself. It's not because you give two shits about Marvan. We know that. You know he can't defend himself. And I'll go as far as to say you're counting on him not opening his eyes, ever. That way, you could continue using this movement in his name to get back at creators who exposed you, who wronged you. Oh well, you kind of expose yourself every day, but even more so than usual. You defending a white woman whose mental illness and fucking insane behavior is somehow far less evident that pushed this man over the edge. Unlike Marvan and his family, you actually deserve it. It's different because you yourself confirmed it by your own behavior, your heinous actions, your greed and inability to take accountability, hiding like a coward, and most likely inflating your contributions to the military than what really happened for all we know. I guess it's envy. You're jealous that a man in a coma and he's in a hospital bed for months, has contributed more to this country than your greasy ass ever did. That he has support of his family, his friends, and has happy children who love their dad. That he isn't a deadbeat. That even when he can't move or do anything, stuck on a ventilator, he's still making an impact in that a movement was made for him. Having thousands and thousands of supporters, all strangers online who don't know him, wanting him to be well and acknowledging his great contributions to his country, all without him not even being on the camera as much. Support and compassion was given to Marvan in a much shorter time span, about the span of, I'd say, 4 months than the whole 4 years you ever started your channel, and that makes you angry, doesn't it? Because you lost close friends and mods in your own community because you don't see that your actions drove them away. When people actually get to know you, they run to the fucking hills. You're healthy. You're not the one plugged to a ventilator. You hate the idea of Marvan getting support. There's a chance that you probably have this displaced resentment about your own failures. You're probably aware of your own shortcomings for all we know. And if that means sending to a hospital after she begged you multiple times to leave her and her family alone, then I guess so be it, right? You have no guilt doing so, just like you trashing Elle when her nephew passed, who also has a vet for a husband that you didn't seem to acknowledge, that you disrespect, and 6 wonderful children she loves that her husband fought for. Basically having no respect or acknowledging his veteran status, all because LB busted your chops. You hate Marvon's family because you didn't have that same dynamic with yours, or pushed them away even. Probably. You don't like it. You're angry because he has a bigger support system than you and will always have, no matter how much you poison the Justice for Ron movement, as well as Katie. You keep doing it, but you don't realize people will always have sympathy for him, no matter what. God forbid you don't get the attention. You want to be seen as this credible channel to go to. Blames everyone but himself no matter how many chances he gets. Hell, it's telling of your content's quality how Dre McRae herself has supporters even now, and she's the one that's batshit insane. Before and after what happened says a lot more about your character when even she can do better than you. Even when she's pushed into a corner. No one does things without reason, even idiots like you. Deny it all you want, but one thing is for sure, I have, and no one else, not once in your almost 50 videos covering or smearing this movement, did I ever hear you hoping Marvon opens his eyes. Not once. That he recovers or discussed recovery, if at all, which he didn't, as well as any updates to his condition. It was all about the family, all about the money with you. And of course, why would you want to mention that? You don't want him to open his eyes. You may even want him to depart. You have no problem attacking grieving families or YouTubers, after all. Not exactly a stretch based on your own history. And if he woke up, you know he'd speak out. You know you'd be in big trouble, that your dirty money source will be gone, that YouTube will immediately nuke your channel. I mean, look at what happened to Critical K. There's no way you did consider the possibility of him waking up. You wouldn't harass the family otherwise the way you did if you had any hope of him fully recovering. It really does seem like you were counting on him passing, because why else would you do what you're doing? And besides, that was a little clear when you instinctively referred to Vaughn as passing away instead of being alive. It almost seemed like a Freudian slip. You and KJ are perfect for each other, so much in common. Both pathetic creators who think they're more important and make a big impact, when in reality, it's the very opposite. People can feel free to disagree with me, criticizing or I'm downplaying his supposed service, whatever. But again, I would love for someone to justify bullshit like that, like the thumbnail, and his inappropriate disposition with a serious topic. A serious topic of suicide, domestic violence, domestic abuse, female domestic violence. So many things that this movement could bring up, topics, and he condensed it, belittled it down to just a money scheme. It is disgusting. There's so many great things that could have come out of this movement, and it almost did until KJ and Uni stepped in. They don't care about any of those things. Of course they don't. The only one who is doing any veteran bashing is Uni, all without realizing it, because he doesn't have an inkling of self-awareness. No self-awareness that tends to haunt him constantly. He minimizes those actual issues vets and those enlisted face just because he got butt hurt. He trashes other vets more than anything, then gets mad when people call his status in question. That indicates you prefer your fragile, emasculating internet tough guy look over the values of being a soldier. You are not a soldier, in my eyes, and in any other people's eyes, and definitely through the people I know. And this was just the little that I've told from them, and they knew more than enough. Personally, I could care less what's in his military documents. It's not like he ever not redacts the specifics, such as how long he has even served or the nature of this injury that he supposedly has, whether he could even recover with it instead of just using it for points. In my opinion, the real reason could be that someone could report it. Perhaps because he could be getting more money than he should and he doesn't want anyone to know. A soldier does not do what you do. A soldier doesn't put his slanderous and ignorant behavior in the same category of actual problems and actual struggles. The sooner you know that, the better. Well, maybe I shouldn't go for his jugular that hard, no matter how hard-hitting honesty might be, because for all we know, maybe there's only two possibilities of him being honorably discharged. The first one is, perhaps a fellow troop in his unit listened to Unipebble's babbling in word salad for so long that he just snapped, firing his weapon at him. Poor bastard just had it, probably, and wasn't paid enough to have someone like Uni around. Or B, some unfortunate motherfucker in some unit watched his videos during off duty and decided that blowing his brains out was the less excruciating option. If the second prediction is true, then let's put an F in the comment section for that brave, brave, poor soul. And if that soul is watching YouTube in the afterlife, just know anyone else would do the same thing, especially if you're making an almost baffling 2-hour video when the target was supposed to be 40 minutes. Hell, I might as well just join you by the time this video is rendered and uploaded. Jumping into a hell portal sounds more feasible.
Send you to your death!
Wait, was she talking about a job where we don't have to jump into hell portals and definitely die? Oh, just shut up and jump. Oh, I'm definitely dying!
I have a thing.
Oh, finally, the fucking video is done. Thank Christ. God, I look like a mess. This is the face of someone who has watched and listened to this guy's voice for way too long. See these spots on my face? That wasn't there the past few days until now, by the time I'm doing this conclusion. That's how annoying and obnoxious it has been. Of course, I had to anyway, regardless if I like it or not, because I can't exactly, you know, do a video without research, otherwise that would be the same, such as the subject of this video. If I speculated, that was based on his past actions, his behavioral and verbal speech patterns, and his current behavior as well as interactions. So you can't exactly sue me for that if somehow you're watching this. But yeah, sorry. And if you want to sue me over that, what does that say about your fuck buddy KJ, who gets sued every other day? I'm just saying. Thank you all for tuning in the way you did. I had a lot of fun more editing than anything else, like the voiceover and finding clips. My goodness, when I screen record or download stuff, it's always a big file, so I can't wait to wipe this shit off of my computer. Don't want his face on anything in here. It's still very beginner level dog shit editing, but come on, I'm trying to improve, so if you can look the other way for that for a little bit, I'd appreciate it. I don't really have any plan or interest making a third part. Again, this was supposed to be just one whole video, and boy was I wrong. It ended up being like 2.5 hours, which is way too long, and I didn't want to do a part 3 because I just wanted this whole thing one and over with, so both videos are actually about 1.5 or an hour and 15 minutes, something along those lines. Even if it was highly requested or if there was like this massive update, I would still not consider it too much. I mean, I'm not like this guy as it is, like, don't want to beat a dead horse. I think it's long enough to prove my points. And he's acted the same anyway when it comes to exploiting content. Lied all the same. Fucking a dead horse over and over again is just... I don't know. I just don't really care to do that. I normally don't even do content like this. The last time I ever made a commentary video was actually around the Creepshow incident where she got clapped by Emily Artful. That might be somewhere on my channel. I mean, yeah, it's not really my forte. I usually like gaming streams and survival horror games. I mean, that's what you're gonna see me mostly do. And I also like comics, which I will mention later in the video. Still, a massive shout out to Charlotte on the Web, Renelle Smith, and I See What You Can't, primarily for reacting and saving these streams. They really took one for the team, so you gotta give them that. And there's no way none of us wants to see like a 4-hour stream of, you know, running around in circles and a bunch of word salad or word vomit, really. PJ's Not So Secret Diary as well, because that's where I got the information for Bite Me Now, the woman that was doxxed in Uni's server, without a shred of doubt. It's also an interview with his former mods, and it really confirmed a lot of things that I suspected. And a big shout out to Truth Sleuth and Tipster for providing a statement and some insight. Please check out their channels as well as LB's too, because she's fun to watch as well. The only other victim was this girl. She did not have a fun time listening to this, guys. Yeah, I know. She's very painful. Oh, and if Uni, who somehow stumbled on this video, I'm sorry, which, well, I say hello to you. I know this video is gonna get dislike bombed once you find it, and if it does, that means I know if you watched it. It always seems to, for any video criticizing you according to many people, many of your critics, no matter how friendly they are about you, about them. I just don't have that kind of patience, personally. Personally, I don't think he would view even a tenth of a video, but if there's a 0.000000001% chance that he somehow is, listen, I know I might come off as like this ignorant, insensitive cunt to your, your circumstances. Or not just me, but perhaps anyone else. I mean, how could I possibly know to have like no life skills or be uneducated, having to rely on YouTube in a toxic community as well? I mean, I don't know how it's like to not have hobbies. It just seems like such a boring way to go. How could I possibly know how it's like to not have any shout-outs from bigger creators the way Renelle, Charlotte, Allie, Tipster, and so on and so forth have, but you never did? It must be already embarrassing enough to bring up the fact that the only title that you have is being KJ's little bitch and being unreliable. I really feel kind of bad now. I really do. Some of them not even having half of your channel size, and they're the ones who are getting shoutouts? Oh, the shame of it. I would be really embarrassed and jealous too. Maybe. Having to rely on one person who isn't even credible just to get a few hundred subscribers because you can't buy your own. How could I possibly know how that's like? Having to depend on a crazy bitch, more than your girlfriend probably, to rein in those views, and especially when you consider that even videos about her aren't working anymore to your favor. I guess I shouldn't knock you for that. I mean, some people have to do what they gotta do. It's a dog-eat-dog world, right? I'm just the observant kind. I can't help it. I always find the soft spots. But when that little sympathy seeps in, just a little, it dissipates the minute I remember what you've done to this family, to this Marine in a coma, and what you've done before, especially with this though. Definitely by far the worst thing you've done. It isn't even just limited to this family based on my findings as well. And it's pathetic, a really pathetic existence, uni bitch. And unfortunately for you, and anyone else really, is that I don't have half the patience like Tipster, Allie, Renelle, Charlotte do. I just don't. I don't know if you've noticed, but the color red is a prominent theme on my channel. And purples as well. My LED lights are red. My mic is red. My seat is red. My scene layout is red. And you know what else is red? The color of your Social Blade stats. Maybe there could have been a better way instead of making, a semi-deep dive 2.5 hour video. Hell, this is just things that I found. There's a lot of other things that I don't even know about, and I don't think I'll ever be out of that rabbit hole if I tried to dig my way out of it. But there is one beautifully nuanced way to summarize your whole existence, your pathetic meat sack of an existence, in just a couple of words. And such a great quote to go by. Thank you so much, once again, everyone, for watching this series in its entirety. 2.5 hours isn't exactly anything to sneeze at, so I commend you. I hope you liked it, especially the the anti-caters, the what do you call it, the truth seekers, the ones that'll always be real, the ones that can't be cancelled. Yeah, I'm sure you will enjoy this. On an unrelated note, the unboxing for the Batman graphic novels is finally done. I just need to compile and edit it. Really excited for that. Then my crime series, Inner Fear is what it's called, I'm still working on, and I can't rely on game footage for that, so I actually have to work extra hard for that compared to this video. This video was way too easy for this guy, because this guy is just a big lol cow altogether. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Leave a comment on what you think, your favorite moments, and what I can improve on. Follow my social media handles, since, you know, YouTube won't always send a notification out. And so you can, like, you know, keep up with me on Instagram, Twitter, and Discord. Those are the best ways to contact me. There's an email too, but I prefer if you just contacted me in the other handles. Now, let's roll the channel soundtrack, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye-bye!